preparations. I like to work with dried herbs simply because horses are made to eat vegetable matter, plant matter. They can grind really, really well. Their digestive system is set up to be able to digest cellulose, so they're quite happy to eat roots and sticks and branches that are cut down fine, and they get the nutrients or the active constituents out of that. As I said earlier, they have been observed to self-medicate. They will hone in on a herb and they will eat it. I have seen my horses eat Solanum nigrum, blackberry nightshade. I nearly freaked. They ate it once, they never ate it again. But when I analysed why that particular horse had eaten the Solanum nigrum, it had a skin condition. It cleared up. So, and after that, every time he went and ate some, I went, okay, no problem. He would come out in tiny scaly bits, and that was the time he would eat the Solanum nigrum. And I did some research and I found that Solanum nigrum is actually used in South America as a food. So, and the blackberries, as long as they're black, they're actually used as a food as well, and they're apparently non-toxic, similar to a tomato. I always learned don't eat green tomatoes, they're toxic. You only eat a ripe tomato and that's nice and firm and red. And the same with the berries, they're the same plant family, the Solanum family. So, the other thing too is, when horse owners go out, they get the herbs packed like this, either as a single or as a blend, and it says on their feed X amount of grams, and they go in and do this. I can tell you this was 3 handfuls and a bit. That's 250 grams. So you work it out in your head. The dosage is 20 grams, 20 to 30 grams usually of a herb or herb blend. That handful was a lot more than 30 grams. So it's always important to weigh, and giving the correct dosage does prevent some of the problems associated with adverse reactions. And then, yeah, packaging and storage. This is not necessarily the ideal way of storing a herb because air can get to it. Seal bags, or if you have containers that can exclude air, they're best. Yes, keep on going. I like to, actually when I feed herbs to my horses, I make a tea. So I take my dosage of herb, I boil the kettle, and I pour it over the herb, and in a container that can take it, so I have a glass container, put the lid on, and the lid goes on because of any essential oils that are in the herb. If I put the hot water on it, they evaporate, and like chamomile, it's the essential oil in chamomile that is the active. If I lose that, part of the calming benefits of chamomile are lost, they're gone. So by putting the lid on, it drips back down again, and you save that. Some people actually say with chamomile you should do a cold infusion and then gently heat it, because the chamazoline, which is the part of the essential oil that is the beneficial one, is actually actually builds when you warm up the plant rather than it being already there. It's something that's formed when you gently warm it. So I like to just use a tea. Then I use a whole lot. I don't filter nothing, I just put the whole lot, dregs and all, into the feed, moisten the feed with that, and here it is. The horses love it. They will readily eat your herbs like that. They have no problem. There's no sifting out, nothing, and they just gobble it. You can also syringe it in. If you find that, well, no, they're not eating it, you can still draw the tea and syringe it over their tongue. Fluid extract, tinctures. The good thing about these is that they're really quickly absorbed into the system because they don't have to go through the digestive process. So as soon as you syringe something like this over the tongue, it starts getting absorbed. But it's alcoholic. And I'm not comfortable feeding alcohol to horses. You can use an oxymel, which is an extract made with honey and apple cider vinegar. You probably could use a glycitract, which is an extract made with glycerol or glycerin, another name for it, which is sweet. But there comes the sugar. If you have an IR horse, you wouldn't want to give them something that has honey or glucose in it, glycerin in it, which is sweet. So you wouldn't want to use that. As a wash, if you make a tea, you can use that as a compress. Eye bright tea is really nice if you have an animal with eye problem to use to wash out the eye and put a compress on. Really nice. And then you can still put it in the feed and they can eat it, so they get the internal benefit as well as the external benefit. And as I said, yeah, these ones absorb faster, but the dried herbs are safer. Dosages, it is an acceptable standard, 15 to 30 grams for a horse, but it depends on your horse. If you have a little horse, I wouldn't give that much. I prefer to go by the weight of the horse. So I look at what the human dosage is, I look at the horse, how much does the horse weigh. Human dosage is usually calculated for an 85 kilo person, but then you give the same dosage to a person that weighs 150 kilos as well. So to me, I probably only just gently double the human dosage and go with that, and I find I have good results with that. So it's a safe dosage for the horse. If it's a miniature I'm treating, I definitely go by weight. So I have my weight tape with me and go, okay. And I said the digestive system is designed to process cellulose, so I have no problem feeding whole seeds and roots. I don't go for the powders. I found I've got some blends that I make up that have powders in it, simply because some of them actually are given to dogs, and with dogs it's just easier to put a powder over their feet and mix it through rather than chewing on a piece of bark. But they do sift out, and you end up with the powder on the bottom and not where you want it through the herb. Now with foods don't usually go through a standardization process. If it's a food, so like a nutritional supplement, if you go out and you take, you've got, let's say whatever you got that is a nutritional supplement but doesn't necessarily, well with just humans everything is standardized because it has to go through the TGA if it's a supplement, but it's not necessarily. When you go to animal supplements, they don't necessarily have been going through the process of standardization or have been looked at by the UQIVM. So you don't actually know what you're getting. The good thing is, with some of the herbs, they have a reputation of being safe, so I don't worry too much about that. The only problem is there if it's a nutritional supplement, how much is in there? I do not know if, say, if I give them seaweed, as mentioned earlier, is there iodine in there that I actually want? Turmeric is a beautiful herb, multitude of benefits, but they discover now that the actual active is curcumin, which is a tiny constituent of the turmeric itself. And not depending on which way the plant is grown, it may or actually may not have curcumin in it. So even if you buy a fresh root, it may not have any in it. It just depends on which is grown. So there is no standardization. It doesn't mean that the herb is not good as a nutritional supplement. It still has benefits, but it may not be the benefit that you actually wanted. So ideally, everything should have a certificate of authenticity. I hope that whoever, the company that makes liquid extracts, when they get their herbs, they have certificates of authenticity to say, yes, that is actually the herb that you're using. herbs do get adulterated. Slippery elm bark is one of those, because it actually comes from a tree that is endangered. So a lot of people try to adulterate it with a lesser species, or just outright be naughty and say it's slippery elm bark when in fact it's marshmallow root powder. And marshmallow, in that case, marshmallow root powder is actually a really great substitute for slippery elm. And I prefer marshmallow root. It's cheaper and works just as well. Ethically harvested to avoid extinction of the plant. Slippery elm bark was definitely not ethically harvested because it killed the tree, and then they were never replanted. Batch numbers and best before dates, so you know that what you have is actually fresh. So that's as horse owners, and you need to make them aware that, look, if you buy herbs, look for that.